Hello, my name's Dylan Bruce. I'm a graphic designer, and thanks for watching Logo Basics. In this first installment, I'm just going to go over a simple introduction to logos. But the next few episodes, I'm going to be going over simple and complex logos, typographic logos, logo applications, and then finally a study into modern logos to see what others have done and why. You know, what works, what doesn't work. So to start off an intro to logos, the first obvious question is, what exactly is a logo? So a logo is defined as this: a symbol or other design adopted by an organization to identify its products, uniforms, vehicles, things of that nature. So a few other words for logo are emblem, trademark, brand, symbol, or just simply a mark. And I think using all these terms, instead of just the word logo, using these other words to kind of give an overall feel of what a logo really does. A logo's got to be a mark for a company, a symbol, a trademark, something that really embodies the company or the brand itself. I personally am a lover of history, so I feel that to know the future of logos, you have to know the past and the history of logos. So the word logo itself comes from the Greek word logos typos, or imprint. This started around 2300 BCE with the creation of seals and branding symbols for families of government, such as when you see livestock and they have an actual physical branding on them. That's where it all originated from. With the boom in advertising during the 1800s, the addition of typography and imagery together formed our modern concept of the logo, where before it had just simply been someone's signature or an image of a family crest, but now they are both put together to make what we know as the logo. In 1876, the Yale company Bass, or Base, whichever way you want to pronounce it, created the world's first trademark logo, which was simply just a red triangle, which could easily be printed on their products, on their crates, their barrels, even their papers, just a little red triangle in the corner. And that was very effective and kind of helped shape what we know today as the logo. By the 1950s, modernism had spread across the entire world, and American graphic designers adopted the movement's less is more attitude. The current notion of logos and design we know today consists of simple and complex logos, depending on the application. So now that we know the history of logos, how we got to this point, then we can work off of that to know what people have already done and always be making progress. Because in graphic design, you always want to be moving forward. You never want to be stagnant, because a logo that fits the certain times, years down the road, is no longer going to really apply, and the company's going to need a rebrand, and that's always very expensive and also can hurt the brand in the long run. So now we're going to go into kind of logo specifics, and building off what I was just saying about the logos, because a logo represents a company, it doesn't help if the company keeps rebranding, because the logo can't consist of current fads. It must make sense for the life of the business, not just that point in time. So a design must use color mapping to decide what color a logo should be to give the desired feeling. Like, let's say yellow and red. That's going to give you the effect of hunger or speed, which is why you see most race cars are red or yellow, and yet fast food restaurants are also red or yellow. It makes you hungrier, it makes you want to move faster. To create a logo, the designer has to use the process of this. It goes concept. You want to come up with an idea. You want to come up with what it is you want your logo to do. Write it down. Make a chart of what you want the logo to do, what you want it to include, and then finally you do initial design, which is your rough draft. And then you, of course, make a final draft, finalize it, and then you colorize. You always want to make sure you have the logo made before you decide the colors, because depending on how the logo, how you start it, is never going to look how you finish it. So you don't want the colors to kind of hold you back from moving forward to evolve the logo itself. So do colorization second to last. Then the final last one is format. Decide where you want the logo to be located mainly, because that's where you want the logo to specifically be made for. Is it mostly going to be a mobile company? Is it mostly going to be an advertising type of company where it's going to be on big billboards? You want to make sure that that's going to work there. If it's a small little mobile website mainly, you don't want that logo to be too complex. You don't want it to have colors that are going to look bad on a phone screen, things like that. So it's concept, initiate, finalize, colorize, and then format. That's the process you need to go through for a successful logo. Anything you do in between there is totally up to you. So when it comes to doing a sports team logo, its imagery and color scheme is going to represent mostly the city it came from, or maybe their mascot. Let's say if they're the Tigers, more than likely they're going to have a orange and white or orange and black, something like that. Or it's either going to represent the mascot or it's going to represent the city that it comes from. That way it can evoke kind of a realism, but also patriotism, if you know what I mean. You know, where people are going to see that color and feel pride in their team because the team feels like home. So in short, a logo is meant to burn itself into a consumer's mind. So in that endeavor, if you're lazy and you give little effort, it's just not going to do the trick. And the logo, no matter how good it looks, isn't going to be effective. So to make a logo, a good logo, great, it needs to have a great product behind it, so that a consumer will link the image to a positive experience. However, a bad logo cannot be made good, no matter how great the product is, such as MySpace or New York City Taxi, where those are both good products. You know, MySpace was very popular for a while. New York City Taxi is widely used, yet their logos, not so much. So it doesn't matter how good the product is, a bad logo is a bad logo. Now we're going to talk a little bit about logos in today's market. In today's world, it thrives off branding, with companies such as Nike or Under Armour that can sell a product simply by putting their logo on it. It doesn't matter really how good the quality of the product is. People don't care. They want that image on it. They want that the thing that links it to it. They have a positive experience or an idea that links it to it. Like you'll see Nike posters with Michael Jordan suspended in midair going for a dunk, making him look almost godlike, giving him a sort of demigod feel to him. And people, when they buy Air Jordans, that's how they feel. They want that. It makes them feel like they have a part of that godliness to it, where it almost becomes a spiritual thing for people, just that branding. And that's where the logo is so important, is it mixes into a brand. It's not just by itself anymore, it's with a product and mostly an ideal, okay? So that's what makes it so important. So that the Nike and Under Armour can sell a product simply by putting their logo, and the market has become a little bit oversaturated because of that. Anybody with the ability to draw thinks they can create a Wolf Allens or a Paul Rand quality design. But quality branding takes education and experience. So if you're watching this and you want to become a graphic designer and you haven't gone for schooling yet and you think you can just watch tutorials, you can learn so much with tutorials, but really getting hands-on with experience and with schooling is so necessary for you to become an actual graphic designer, because you can have all the knowledge in the world, but if you don't have the practice it takes to it and the certification, it's just not going to mean anything. So to create a logo, the image must capture the eye and resonate with the viewer's memory. Using an image like an apple could either make the viewer think of something sweet or dangerous if it's like the forbidden fruit, depending on where you use it. Every image has a social dialogue. Using an animal is one popular form of this method, where a viewer can see it and associate the animal's attributes with the company it's used to represent, such as Puma or Lacoste, where people will see the logo with the puma or a crocodile on it, and they will automatically take it and take the attributes of that animal and represent them in the product, without the product actually having to speak for itself. Thanks to the revolution of television and flash animation, another relatively new aspect of logos is video motion. A great example of this would be the moving logos that belong to film companies that play before you watch a movie. Those are solid logos that are built into with motion that give it a whole new aspect to it. For our look into logos, we're going to focus on three specific kinds. That's simple logos, complex logos, and typographic logos. When we're talking about simple logos, that means something like the Apple logo, the Cheetos, Fanta, Skype, Twitter logos. Things like that, where they're very plain, mostly round, not many edges, nothing too complex about it at all, you know. My favorite one, the USA Today logo, which is simply just a blue circle, which is absolutely genius, a design created by the Wolf Allens design company, where a simple logo is going to capture someone's attention and can really hold an ideal, can really make people feel an emotion when they see it. It's going to give a simple, clear message and make people associate it with something else that looks the same. Now, if we're talking about complex logos, we're going to say things like hotel logos and things of that nature, like a spa. You're not going to want to use a regular simple logo for that, because if you give a logo that's simple and round edges and stuff like that for a hotel, it's going to send people a message that you're cheap. Let's say the Super 8 Motel. That's a very simple logo. And when you think Super 8, you're not thinking quality. You're thinking cheap night stay. So if you're running a hotel, or you're running a salon, or a spa, you want people to think luxury, and for that you're going to want a complex logo. Now, if we're talking typographic, that's going to want to be for like a person brand. If you want them to think of someone's signature, if you want them to think, or if it's just basically a website, if it's all done online, maybe you might want a simple logo for that, but I'd personally recommend a typographic where it's going to be online and you can have it a certain, your own custom company font, and that's just simply typographic, and it can match up perfectly and really flow nicely with the words that are on the page of your website. So if you're talking about a newspaper, let's say like the New York Times, no actual logo, simply typographic, and that's because it flows nicely and really doesn't contrast too much with the text in it. So those are the different applications of where you'd use each different type of logo. We're also going to look into what kinds of colors work best, and finally, where they need to be applied, such as mobile phones, ads, clothing, and business equipment. You're going to want the logo to look a little different as it's printed on a shirt. If you would, usually for a shirt, you're going to want it to be on the pocket logo or the sleeve print. If you're that's more of a professional look. If you're going for more of a relaxed, urban, fun type of thing, you're going to want a full front or a pocket logo and a full back. Where if you're not going for that super professional look, you want something that makes people feel more involved in what you're doing. Or if you're going to do mobile phones, you want to make sure your logo can be read in a smaller piece where people aren't going to be, expanding their phones to try to see what the logo is. You want it to be visibly present and things like that. So anyways, that's all we have for this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it and learned a little bit. Maybe you took some notes, maybe you didn't. Doesn't bother me either way. So the next episode is going to be about modern logos, to see what others have done and why, to figure out what works and what doesn't work. See you then.